Public Affairs programming on WQPT is brought to you by the Singh Group at Merrill Lynch, serving the wealth management needs of clients in the region for over 25 years.
If the elections of 2016 seem like a distant memory, get ready for 2018. And why not celebrate New Year's 12 hours early in the cities? Welcome to the last days of 2017. It should have been a quieter year politically than the white-hot election years, but it wasn't. And the new year will place us right back into the political fast lane with congressional elections plus gubernatorial races in both Iowa and Illinois. Political operatives on both sides will say their opponents will ruin us all, and by Election Day, voters may be pretty close to being totally burned out. So let's foam the runways a little early and try to preview the next 11 months at the local level. Joining us is Doug Howes, the chair of the Rock Island County Democratic Party, also the president of the Illinois Democratic County Chairmen's Association, as well as Bill Bloom, former chairman of the Rock Island County Republican Party, but also a Republican Party committeeman.
Yes.
Survey, I believe, South Moline.
South Moline 20, yeah.
There you go. Very good. It's good to have you both here.
Good to be with you, Jim.
Long titles nonetheless. Was 2017 a good year for Democrats?
Yes and no. It was a bad year for our country. We've seen a lot of traditional programs and things overturned that had stood the test of time in support of bipartisan support. But for our party, it was good. Our base is energized. More people are getting actively involved, and we've got a good field of candidates. So.
Republicans have the presidency. They have Congress. They have the state house. As far as the governorship in Illinois, is it a good year, 2017, for Republicans?
I would say at the national level, it actually is a pretty good year, and actually for the country, I think it's a good year. You look at the economy; it's growing at a robust 3.5% annually, and it could get beyond that. You're seeing some very pro-business initiatives being put on the table by the president, and you're seeing the stock market react very favorably. At the state level and the county level, I would say it's less than a good year, but you know, this is Illinois, and that's what it is.
Well, let's talk about the Trump effect, because obviously it has the national government has never seen anything like this administration, nor should it actually, if you think about it, because it is an outsider, a businessman who had really no political history beforehand. So you would expect a pretty radical type of administration. But was it a successful administration? I mean, no real major bills coming out, of course, the tax bill being the exception.
Well, I blame the Republican Congress more than I do the president. I think he is spot on as far as rolling back Obamacare and replacing it with more free market focused initiatives. His ideas on tax reform are great. And actually, in a lot of areas like foreign policy, he's done a great job of reestablishing the United States as a world leader and reconfirming our alliances in the Middle East. And I think in the end, his decision on the moving Israel's capital to Jerusalem, recognizing that, will end up being beneficial to both the United States and Israel.
Has health care been a bit of a blunder for Republicans? Because once Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act went into place, I think people didn't like Obamacare, but they did like some of the benefits. The Republicans are agreeing to that now. They're not throwing everything out. They're saying more replace as well as repeal and replace, but there never seems to be an exact thing that they wanted to replace before they repealed it. In other words, there wasn't a plan going ahead that was concrete and agreed upon by the Republican Party.
Well, there are a lot of actual proposals out there.
Absolutely.
But you know, when you have a narrow majority at that time of 52 senators, getting everybody to agree, I mean, literally one or two people can spoil the party. So I think they had a lot of good initiatives out there, but you know, the Republican Party it's a big tent party, and we've got some very moderate elements. We have more conservative elements, and trying to find that ground that makes everybody happy is a real challenge.
Well, and Doug, I know, like I said, I'm foaming the runways. I know that you disagree with virtually everything that was just said.
Yeah, both domestic and foreign policies of the president have been a complete shambles. Our allies are deserting us. We're going it alone far too often on the foreign policy scene. A national health care effort that went forward and has been popular with most Americans needs some reform, needed some tweaking, but it's crumbling, and it's under the weight of a president that's been non-supportive. He's removed things to take away, make it more difficult to have a public option in these things, but we're going to work hard as a party, and it's energizing our base, and we're going to come back and we're going to try and repair these things.
Well, as always happens, the party that is out of power, so to speak, is always criticized as being the no party, the no guys. And then not having necessarily a policy, but just being anti the other guys.
That's a problem. It is a problem, but it's one of perception. The things that we're no to are no to rollbacks of things that we fought very hard for as a country, and things that we believe that help to define us as a country. We've always been warm and receptive to immigrants, and we're a nation of immigrants. We've always been a diverse country and celebrated that diversity. Education has always been something that's important. The major signature legislation that this president has passed has been his tax plan, and 70% of the Americans feel that it only benefits himself and his rich cabinet and people of very, very large wealth.
So what kind of Trump effect do you think in 2018 is there going to be, obviously in the congressional area, but even on state and local elections, even the gubernatorial race?
Democrats have to be very cautious to remember that this is a snapshot in time. But the recent polling and the polling since prior to Virginia and the other races that took effect, they demonstrated that there was a generic support of Democrats within a generic poll. There was support of Democrats in the Virginia race, for example, by +6, and it's increased. It's only increased since then, and we've seen it in Alabama. But we have to be very cautious going forward that we do our due diligence and keep our coalition of our partners together so that we are able to elect and get to a 50+1 at election time.
Well, it takes you back to Tip O'Neill, though, that all politics, all elections are local. So, I mean, whether or not you have a generic candidate is kind of a moot point, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's going to help up and down the ballot. What generic ballot shows is enthusiasm. There's enthusiasm there for Democratic candidates and Democratic values and ideals. Your point about being no, we have been for. We've been for Social Security. We've been for Medicare. We've been for a national health care. We've been for helping people of diverse backgrounds and being an inclusive party. These things we're seeing under attack. It's going to make you know. It's going to make you say that you're angry. So, yeah, it's all right. If that's what it means to be the party of no, then we are the party of no.
Well, Bill, let me get back to the fact, does Donald Trump have coattails for Illinois politicians, whether it's congressional, but mostly state and local?
My advice to Illinois politicians would be not to run away from Donald Trump, which is going to actually be a problem for our governor.
Mm-hmm. And I do want to get into that.
Yeah, I think in the last election we saw significant desertions from the other side among blue-collar working-class Americans who came over and voted for Republican candidates.
Which the Republicans really have been successful since Richard Nixon's time of getting the blue-collar worker toward their side.
Yeah, so and I think that's important, and I think those people came over because they believed that Trump would break a broken system and replace it with something that was more reactive. And
are you talking, when you're talking about a broken system, how do you mean? More than just trade agreements, more than just making sure companies stay in the U.S.?
Well, I think those are parts of it.
Right.
I think Trump promised a growing economy. He was told during the campaign that 1.5% was all that you could possibly imagine. That growth at 3% was impossible, and now we've shot past 3%. We're at 3.5%. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to checkbooks and pocketbooks.
Doesn't it always?
And I think if people are doing well at the time of the midterm elections, I think they'll vote for Republicans. I think they'll give Donald Trump a lot of credit for that. And I think if candidates run away from Donald Trump, then they stand to lose that group of people who came over because of him. But if they stand with him, if they say, I support the president's pro-growth policies, I'll do my best to imitate those in Illinois and in Rock Island County. I think they've got a better chance at winning.
Doug, that's a strong argument, and you know that very well. People do vote their pocketbook, and if the economy is doing well, why change horses in the middle of the street?
The growth that he's talking about, it's mostly a paper shuffle. When you talk about the stock market doing well, that's a rich man's game. That's not affecting the pocketbooks of average, everyday working men and women that are going to the store or need to buy a new car or trying to purchase a home, trying to send kids to school. All of those things are under attack, and they're struggling to eke out a living every day. So we're not afraid of those pocketbook issues that he's talking about. They're hurting us, and so they're motivating our voters, and they're going to get out and demonstrate.
I want to talk about Doug Jones beating Roy Moore in Alabama. Let me start with you, Bill. I mean, is that a huge blow to the Republican Party?
No, I think that was a referendum on Roy Moore. I think if you look at the news media coverage going up to that election, it was all about Moore and his indiscretions with some teenage girls 30 years ago. If you watch the TV media after the election, you will see it being portrayed as some sort of a seismic shift
or a referendum of some sort.
Yeah.
Although, are you surprised that even in Alabama, deep red Alabama, I believe the president's support was at 47%. That seemed to be awfully low to me.
I think when you look at deep red Alabama and you see the president's support at 47%, I think what you're seeing is the frustration faced by almost all conservatives with a Congress that has not been able to initiate meaningful change and reduce the growth of government, and specifically Obamacare. Not all Americans worked for it. There wasn't one Republican who voted for Obamacare, and it's something that has not lowered the cost of health care. They talk about people losing health care if they stop forcing people to buy it in the first place. But actually, I've never owned a Ferrari. I'll elect not to buy a Ferrari. Does that mean I lost a Ferrari? I mean, there's absolutely no reason. If people don't want to spend money on their health care, we've got a law that basically forces people under penalty to participate.
Yeah, but let's be honest. This is pretty much based on the Massachusetts plan that was enacted, and it's pretty much that you have to have a pool of people that don't. I mean, I pay into a pool of health insurance.
Sure. To
help people that really need it, as opposed to me who doesn't really need it. So I mean, doesn't every plan have to have that?
Yeah, but every plan doesn't need to have a healthy injection of government into it. Mm-hmm. I mean, prior to the government getting involved in healthcare, the cost of healthcare was a lot lower. As every time the government has messed around with healthcare, it's gotten more expensive, it's gotten more bureaucratic, it's gotten less responsive to the people. What we need to do is get the government reduced in healthcare, get its role out of healthcare, and get it back to the free market, identifying the needs of the people and providing services that meet them.
Doug, I know you want to get into healthcare, but I want to move on if you don't mind. And I want to talk about Governor Rauner. Governor Rauner actually has a primary opponent in the Republican Party, not something that you might have expected. Does that mean he's going to have even more trouble in 2018?
I think that it does. It is an example of his failed policies and his failed leadership. He wants to say that he isn't in charge, but then when something he believes that is good has happened, he runs TV ads taking credit for them. In this particular instance, he finally did, in what I believe, came to the proper conclusion and did the proper thing by signing HB 40, which drew this opponent out. But in the process, he was never honest with the state. He wasn't honest with the voters of this state. He wasn't honest with his own party. And he even went as far as to lie to a cardinal about what his ultimate vote would be. And so that's caused a lot of trouble. He has no credibility within his own base.
Well, when you talk about HB 40, of course, you're talking about the bill that also allows for some state funding of abortion. So that was really, no one was quite sure how Rauner was going to not vote on it, but whether he was going to sign it or not, though people thought he was going to lean toward it. Do you consider that a bold choice by the governor?
Yeah, it was certainly a bold choice by the governor, but again, not being able to be honest with anyone about what he was going to do and not knowing his own true self, it was difficult to tell where he was going to come down at any point. Democrats and women didn't believe that he was going to come down on their side, and Republicans trusted that he was going to, and then in the end, we were all confused as to what he finally did.
Well, Bill, the governor's been running against Madigan. Every campaign commercial generally mentions Madigan. That's been hammered into voters' minds, especially Republicans. But now you wonder if some of these Republicans aren't going to sit there and go, oh, wait a second, there's Madigan, but there's also this abortion agreement.
Well, as far as his business and economic positions, I totally support the governor. I do think Ives and Northland will put a very credible challenge to him in the primary.
Those are the Republican opponents going after.
Right, yeah. And I think basically it's going to be up to the governor to try to reestablish, to rebuild confidence in his conservative base. Some of his votes have caused, have shaken our confidence in the governor's ability to get things done. But he's still got a year basically to turn that around.
Well, I was going to say, sometimes when you have a primary opponent, it makes the candidate stronger. I mean, do you see that happening?
Actually, I do have good hopes for this primary challenge, regardless of which one wins. I think getting the issues out there and making the candidates take stands that they'll carry into the next election, I think that's I think that's beneficial. I think it'll draw attention to Republican positions. And I think in the end, it'll help us in November.
Democrats' big campaign issues for 2018, I know health care will be one of them.
The governor's positions have destroyed our state and our state's finances. He fought the Transparency Act that was overridden by 100% of the state legislature in order to further hide the deficits that he's been running up. He took a $4 billion deficit that was shrinking under Democratic leadership and has multiplied it fourfold to be $16 billion our state's now in debt. It's going to take a lot of work to go through this, and the public has not forgiven him for it, and I think that's going to be a big issue for us. On the health care, people are mad. You say that Bill has said that there wasn't a lot of support there for the health care bill, but it's been reflected in every challenge against health care to undermine it. The public has raised its head and fought that. In every single instance, there's been public outcry to further reduce and cut back on the health care. They want to see it improved, they want to see it fixed, but not to go away.
Doug House, Rock Island County Democrats, sorry. Bill Bloom, Rock Island County Republicans. If we were expecting a kumbaya moment with this discussion, it wasn't going to happen. I want to apologize if that's what you were expecting. Gentlemen, always great to see you. I wish I had more time. I appreciate it.
That's all right.
In a moment, New Year's for the youngest among us. But first, Laura Adams is ready to ring in the new year. If you want to go out and about.
This is Out and About for December 25th through 31st. Hi, I'm Laura Adams. Here are just a few ways to celebrate Christmas or ring in the new year. The kids get to celebrate the arrival of the new year during the daytime at the Family Museum's New Year's Eve festivities, December 31st, including noisemakers, hats, and plenty of confetti. New Year's Eve soiree at 100 West in Davenport features DJ Tom X starting at 8, and Funktastic 5 will hit the stage in the Speakeasy. Bottoms Up Burlesque at the Circa 21 Speakeasy is back with an all-star show to ring in 2018. All of your favorite performers will be doing their favorite numbers from the 2017 season. Or ring in the new year next door at Circa 21 with an indoor beach party. This half-concert, half-party will feature your favorite summertime hits from the Beach Boys to Jimmy Buffett and everything in between. Or enjoy a Christmas Carol luncheon at the opulent Mount Rest Mansion in Bellevue, Iowa on December 28th. It's a Christmas celebration right out of a Dickens story. We're off to see The Wizard with a new interactive twist on the classic movie. Sing along with the Munchkins, Boo the Flying Monkeys, and more at the Rock Island Public Library December 27th. For more information, visit WQPT.org.
Thank you, Laura. Mike Cochran is a frequent performer at the River Music Experience. Earlier this month, he was playing Christmas songs at the Falbo Pizza stage, but we caught up with him that is even earlier than that, before the season kicked off. Here's Mike Cochran on the RME's community stage with It Won't Be Long.
Miss you so much, girl, more and more each day. It won't be long now until it's time to show. Now that I'm back with you, I'll never let you go. But gee, I'm glad, hold you close to me.
Mike Cochran with It Won't Be Long. Kids are on break right now. Parents are facing a winter trying to figure out how to keep their children active during the cold months. It's a time the Family Museum in Bettendorf asks you to visit them again and see what's new. And that all starts New Year's Eve. Joining us is the Executive Director of the Family Museum, Kim Kidwell. And let's be honest, New Year's is a great time at the Family Museum.
Oh, it is so fun. So, you know, families gather, the kids get so excited, they bring their hats and we make noisemakers and things like that in the hours before noon, and then...
And that's the key thing. They don't have to wait until midnight. It's New Year's Eve, so it starts at, well, it happens at noon, but you open your doors a little earlier than that.
Yeah, so New Year's Eve happens to be on a Sunday this year, so normally we would not open until noon, but this year we're going to go ahead and open at 9 and, you know, continue on with our yearly celebration as usual. So we'll open at 9. And we'll have all kinds of things for the kids to do to gear up, all kinds of activities and fun. And then we have a band coming. The Myers Brothers come every year and, you know, play songs. That's really fun. The kids can sing and dance while they're waiting.
Well, I love showing this video where you see all of that confetti coming down. I mean, that takes a little bit of work to get it ready, doesn't it?
Yeah, so we've already started cutting up confetti. You know, we buy some now and we cut up some. We have a lot of great volunteers who come in and help us out. But we start slicing it up. We figured out which kind of confetti floats better. It takes a little longer to come down.
Right. There's an art to it, is what you're saying.
A little bit, yeah. And then balloons, so we all kind of have balloon inflating parties where we all, our custodian has come up with like an apparatus now that fills balloons fairly quickly. So we fill hundreds and hundreds of balloons. We're actually adding an entire net this year. We had one net last year. We're adding another one. So we'll have even more balloons and confetti to drop.
This is becoming a Mac Daddy celebration.
It is.
Open to everybody, but everybody can go.
Yeah, anybody can come. Anybody can come.
And it's a family event, of course. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Family Museum members, do they get any special discounts or anything?
No, members get in, well, they use their membership, so they get in for free with their membership. And then everyone else, it's $8 to come in.
And what's the event? You know, I mean, it's more than just, like you said, the confetti drop. There's entertainment as well. There's things going on because it's 9 until 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's a good 5 hours to blow off some steam.
Yeah, it's fun. You know, New Year's Eve is usually traditionally, you know, an adult event. You go out at night. You know, but I think families, you know, look for a way to celebrate with their kids and ring in the new year. You know, traditionally you try to keep them up until midnight, but that doesn't happen or go well. You know, or they go to sleep and then you wake them up at midnight, and this way they kind of get the experience without having to stay up until midnight.
Well, let's be honest, it's good for the Family Museum as well because you get some new eyes coming in. I mean, anybody who isn't familiar with the museum can come by and really get a taste of what you guys are all about. How important is that?
You know, we always say, you know, we love, you know, being in Bettendorf, but we are a community museum. You know, we love to see people visit from all over the Quad Cities and, you know, the outlying areas. We're welcome to all kinds of families. We're just all about families learning together, and all of our exhibits are hands-on fun. There's nothing the kids can't touch and check out. So
that's the whole point of it.
Yeah, exactly.
But also you have a lot of outreach and a lot of classroom and workshops. And I wanted to point out some of them that start in January. You have a new one called the Family Art Studio. You also have Kindergarten Readiness, 1, 2, 3 Math for Me. That starts January 9th. The Family Art Studio starts January 10th. How important are those type of events, and how easy is it to get your family involved in that?
Yeah, so our Family Art Studio is just something one of our educators decided, you know, he thought it would be really fun to do. We have our open art studios open every day from 9 to 3, and we have various projects going on in there. And sometimes the parents or caregivers, grandmas, grandpas get involved, and sometimes the kids just do it and they sit around. So he really wants the whole family to get involved. So Mr. Glenn, who's one of our educators, so he really wants to have a weekly art studio. You can sign up a week at a time. It's just $5 a person, so you don't have to sign up for a long 8-week commitment or anything. You can decide that week if you want to come or not. And he'll have, I think we're doing cartooning, we're doing origami, you know, and it's just designed for the whole family to work together and kind of come up with a cool project.
But what's great when you have kids of such a young age is that if you can expose them to all these things, you'll see their eyes light up and they'll latch onto certain things. You know, it really, the ability to open up the experiences that your kids could take part in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, this day and age, you know, technology is on the rise. You know, kids can operate anything and anything that's electronic. They can push buttons, you know, but the interaction, the social interaction is something that, you know, we're really trying to focus on because it's seemingly getting lost in the shuffle. The communication, you know, talk to your kids, do things with your kids, do hands-on things with your kids.
Not just your phone, your computer.
Right, exactly. So.
And I got just a little bit of time left. You mentioned Mr. Glenn.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about the Inventors Club. That also starts January 11th, I believe, is when that starts. Yeah. I mean, what's that about?
So that's been going on for a couple of years now. So it's an after-school program with Mr. Glenn, and he just like kind of goes off of what the kids' interests are. So if they're talking about space or they're talking about this, then all right, we're gonna make rockets today. All right, so it's kind of, it is facilitated, but it's really about what the kids are interested in, because we find what they're interested in, and then they learn a little bit about it along the way, is what they're really going to get into. If you come in and say, hey, we're doing this today, and they're like, nah, we don't care about that. Yeah. So we really try to pay attention to what the kids are interested in and go from there. So.
Well, let's be honest, January is a time to hibernate. Family Museum's trying to wake up your kids in that month.
That's
there's so many things that you can do. Get out and enjoy it and take part in the Family Museum. And you guys are open all the time and welcoming, like you said, to anybody from anywhere.
Absolutely, yep.
Well, have a good New Year.
Thank you.
Have a good New Year as well.
Yes, appreciate it. Come on by.
See, so easy, so much on their website as well. So if you get a chance, take a look at the Family Museum website. So easy to find and so much to learn and a great time for your kids. WQPT is also ready to party next month. We hope you'll join us. Tickets for our biggest fundraiser, Champagne on the Rocks, are now on sale. You can join us at the Davenport Outing Club Friday, January 26th for dinner, an auction, and a chance for you to win a fine piece of jewelry. Do I have you interested? Hope so. Just head to our website, WQPT.org. See some of the items that could be yours. We hope to see you at Champagne on the Rocks, January 26th, once again, in Davenport at the Outing Club. On the air, on the radio, on the web, and on your mobile device. Thanks for taking some time to join us as we talk about the issues on the cities.
Public Affairs programming on WQPT is brought to you by the Sing Group at Merrill Lynch, serving the wealth management needs of clients in the region for over 25 years.